Welcome to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell Jr. Brought to you by Advanced Rehab, Pristine Water, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Sinorama, and by the Copper Pig. Now here is your host, Mr. Brunswick High, Kipp Branch.
Welcome to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kipp Branch on location at the Copper Pig, where we will be each Thursday night at 6 p.m. for the entire season. This segment of the Larry Harrell Show is sponsored by the Copper Pig, Advanced Rehab, Pristine Water, Bruce Kennedy Tire, and by Sinorama. And now joining us, the head coach of the Brunswick High Pirates, Coach Larry Harrell. Welcome, Coach.
How's it going, Kipp? How's it going, Kipp?
Fine, Coach. We coming off a tough loss last week in Coffee County, 27-3 at the stadium. Score wasn't as bad as it would appear. We had a good showing last Friday night. Our defense played well enough to win that football game. Let's talk a little bit about that defensive performance last week.
Probably one of the better defensive performances, probably the best that we've had all year when you take into account the type of caliber offense that we played against. Coffee's a big, powerful, physical team, and size-wise, we don't match up. But our kids just play hard. They battled and banged, and we just couldn't keep enough drives going on offense, and it kind of wore down. They were able to score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter that kind of, put the game out of reach. So, but just talk about our young guys. I mean, the job that the D-line did, control line of scrimmage, Jeremy Smalls, Reggie Jackson, Kareem Screven, Gunnar Gentry, linebackers Cam Futz, Sean Ward, Seth Neugebauer, Tony Hayward. They just did a great job, and they tackled well.
Coach, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, our defensive line has really started performing very well. Reggie Jackson, you mentioned him just in the last question I asked. Talk a little bit more about how they're progressing this year and what you're seeing out there. And I know they're coached up well. Coach Butts coaches them up pretty hard in practice, and throughout the season they just keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah, well, I like to say that Coach Butts is probably, besides Coach Bond, which was voted the teacher of the year in Brunswick, Coach Butts is probably the best teacher on our staff. I mean, he really takes his time to teach this guy every day. He has certain drills he works. The biggest thing he's been working on is their hands. Hands are big important for a D lineman to be able to, what we call shock and shed, where you hit the lineman, see the ball, get rid of him and go, and that's what the biggest improvement I see with him. He's still working on, exploding off the ball a little bit better, but that's the biggest point. And I think they're also playing with a lot more confidence, and they're playing with their eyes. And that's important because you got to read the hats of the offensive linemen so they know, what holes to attack and what gaps to slant to and different stuff like that.
Coach, our linebackers last week, Cam Futz made a lot of tackles. I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank. Sean Ward, number 14. He had a great game. His first full game of the season. He was the player of the game on the radio broadcast, and we called his name a lot during the broadcast. And talk a little bit about those linebackers, and in your defensive system, the defensive line, they kind of clog things up, open things up for the linebackers to run and make tackles, and they're getting better every week also. Talk a little bit about the linebackers.
Yeah, Cam Futz, sophomore, calls the defense, and has become the captain of the defense. And only as a sophomore, real vocal, and he's reading stuff so fast. He's beating the running back to the hole. The thing we have to work on now is just, they did a good job last week against the Big Davis kid, but he missed a couple of tackles in the hole. It's just getting bigger and stronger. Sean Ward is just a brick. I mean, he's a little Hercules. I mean, he's not afraid of anything. He'll run through anything. And, I told you he's fearless. It was big in him back. Sherrod Frazier is sophomore, plays his speed, probably played his best game of the year. We asked him to set the edge and make sure nothing got outside because Coffee loved to run the buck sweep. Seth Neugebauer, took him from tight end, used him a lot as an outside linebacker, and then behind him we have Tony Hayward. So we have a real good linebacker core. They get better every day. Coach Lockett and Coach Maynard do a good job with them. And again, we just keep improving each and every week and just keep getting better.
This is the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, talk a little bit about the secondary performance against Coffee last week. We didn't really get tested a whole lot deep. They kind of, you mentioned in the Monday night show at Marside that Coffee threw more probably out in the flats and those short dump passes than they have all year, but they really didn't challenge us deep any last Friday night.
Yeah, they want to run the football. That's what Coffee does. You know that coming off the bus. One of the old wing T jokes is they threw the ball 2 times on the bus and off the bus. And they got out there and we forced them to run the Statue of Liberty and run some more waggle passes. We were able to make the adjustments to take that away. But our secondary, we asked them this week to tackle. Thought they did a well job. And, when they start play action, we know they have superior cover skills. But when you play a wing T team, you have to not only tackle, but you got to want to tackle. You got to come up on that buck sweep or that belly trap that they run off tackle and they get to the secondary. You got to want to come and tackle people. And, our kids want to tackle. Denaji Gamble did a great job. Quan Chapman and Santana Clark.
After the Effingham game when we did this show, Coach, we talked about how we didn't tackle very well at all. After that, though, we've tackled well the last few football games. What happened? We got a little more physical in practice, or just tell me what we've gotten better and better and better over the last 3 or 4 weeks in tackling. And after that Effingham game, I think you focused on a lot in practice.
Our coaches, our defense coaches, we call them motivators. They motivated those guys to want to tackle better after the Effingham game. Yeah. I think they forced them to watch that tape more than they wanted to. And, these kids that I like to say about them, they like to be pleasing. They like to, to make you happy. And that's what makes them continue to try and work hard. And they've done more pursuit drills. We work on tackling. We call tackling circuit every day. And the kids are just, buying into it and want to be more and more physical. So, just hats off to the defensive coaches. And that's what coaching is all about. You see a problem area, they focus on it. And the problem would be if you addressed it at the Effingham County game and it got worse. But as you stated, if you're a true Pirate fan, you come to the game, you see them tackling and being more aggressive each and every week.
More to come on the Coach Larry Harrell Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Right now, these words from our sponsors.
Best barbecue and smokehouse in Glenn County? The Copper Pig. Located at 704 Mall Boulevard. Local meat and produce markets, live gators for the kiddos to feed, mechanical pig, a $1.99 drink menu, and so much more. From barbecue to steak, you won't find it any better than at the Copper Pig. 912-289-9880. The Copper Pig is your proud home for the Larry Harrell Coaches Show all season long. Thursday nights at 6 p.m. and go Pirates! That back won't stop aching or that knee won't stop throbbing? Your answer is Advanced Rehabilitation and their staff of professionals. Locations in Brunswick and on St. Simons for your convenience. Go to the place that is trusted by student athletes all over the Golden Isles as well as professional athletes. Advanced Rehabilitation specializes in neuro and orthopedics and will have you back in the game in no time. Find a clinic near you, physicaltherapygeorgia.com. Bruce Kennedy Tire is your hometown destination for tires. Michelin, Goodyear, and all the brands you trust. But don't let the name fool you. Bruce Kennedy Tire, located at 2928 Norwich Street, does more than just tires. Brakes, alignments, repair work, and more than I can mention. Bruce Kennedy is locally owned and operated so you get the best service in Glenn County. So give Bruce a call at 912-264-6578. Bruce Kennedy Tire, a name you can trust.
Welcome back to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kipp Branch at the Copper Pig tonight. This segment brought to you by the Copper Pig Advanced Rehab and by Bruce Kennedy Tire. Coach, let's turn a little bit to the offense, and we're starting to run the ball with that power running game. We're starting to open up some holes, but with this silly injury situation, we are just limited in the passing game, and it makes us one-dimensional. And we still had a good night running the football against Coffee, but just couldn't get anything in the passing game. I know that's got to be frustrating, too.
It's very frustrating. In my 14 years of coach, I've never been through a situation like this. So I'm learning as a coach. I still think our offensive coaches put together a good game plan. We actually moved the ball. But again, when you get the long penalties, the costly penalties that pop up, and now you're, 2nd and 23 or 3rd and, 20. I mean, there are no plays without passing the ball that you can get it, especially against a good Coffee defense. Those guys are big, they're physical and aggressive. But again, I'm proud of my kids, the way they battled, they played hard. But penalties just kill drive. And against a good team like that, you have to have your full arsenal to be able to, keep the defense off the field, keep it limited. I think our special teams played a lot better, other than the muff, which caused the quick, 13 points. I mean, we just, like you said, our luck is just the worst, and I'm glad we can all this out the way this year so that, next year we can get the football guys to help us on our side.
That's right. I was talking with I've got one of their offensive linemen in my Wednesday morning Bible study group, and I picked him up on Wednesday morning, brought him in to where we were meeting at, and he really had a lot of praise for his offensive line coach, Coach McKenzie. Talk a little bit about Coach McKenzie, and talk a little bit about how this offensive line has improved with all this youth, but it's gotten better week by week.
To be an offensive line coach, you have to be a special guy. Our offensive linemen gets no credit. They get all the blame. And you have to, most kids, when you ask them what they want to play, offensive line is usually the last thing that they want to play. And he makes it fun. He takes them out, keeps them together, and helps them become a unit. And he always pours into them. We have pregame meals, he eats with them. And it's just really, really, really important to have a coach that loves coaching those guys. They love him, and they play hard for him. He's a young, energetic guy. He played the position before. It just to show you the type of guy he is. He's from Macon County, played high school there. His senior year, they had a really good team, and I think the second game of the season, he tears his ACL. Second ACL tear. And he tells the doctor that he can't let his team down. He's a starting center, and without his team, he can't go. And the doctor gives him a brace, tapes it up, and says, you can play with the pain, you can make it through. He didn't get any surgery and played the whole season with a torn ACL. And he's just that type of coach. He's loyal, he's hardworking, and for him to be able to tell those type of stories to those kids, it shows the type of person that he's just not telling those guys to do something he hasn't done himself. He puts it all on the line every day. He's done it throughout his career, and the kids are really listening to him and buying into him.
You're listening to the Larry Harrell Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, talk a little bit. I know some of your coaches, some of the things, and I want to highlight some of the things that your coaches do on the staff. I know that, I guess on Thursday nights before games, some of your position coaches get their position players over to their homes and have meals and have times of fellowship, and I know the kids really appreciate that kind of stuff. Just talk a little bit about, we're 1-6, and we got people sometimes out in the community that don't understand why we're 1-6, and they just don't understand football as good as I think they should. But talk a little bit about the commitment of your entire coaching staff, coaching just some of the things that they do that maybe that goes unnoticed.
Each one of the coaches takes, whether it's a Friday morning or a Thursday evening, to sit with the players. And I've always said this, but I hate to say it now because we're 1-6. But you know, it's more to this game than just wins and losses. You know, I became a football coach to help young men, to pour into young boys to help them be young men. And a lot of these players don't have father figures. I had one of my players today tell me, you know, Coach, my dad has never been there for me. And a lot of stuff that I'm learning about being a young man, I've gotten from y'all. And that really shocked me. You know, just basic things, how to shave, you know, whether it's hygiene or whatever, you know, how to talk to a young lady. And these type of men, we have high character men, you know, they all are Christian men, and, you know, they just believe in, you know, they're great fathers at home, they're great husbands, and they try to pour the same thing to those kids. Like you say, for a man to open up his home to kids that don't even belong to him, you know, they're just trying to show these kids that we love you outside of football. And you've played sports before. You know, football is a tough sport. You're battered, you're bruised, but if you know that your coach loves you outside of football, whether you win, lose, or draw, it gives you that extra to give it to you. And I think that's why at 1-6, you haven't seen these kids quit or give up on these coaches. They continue to battle and continue to play hard because they know win, lose, or draw. As long as you give us 110%, we're still going to love you, we're still going to coach you, and we're still going to be in your life regardless.
We certainly don't practice like a 1-6 team, that's for sure. I go out there, try to get out there and swim about once a week. There's a lot of enthusiasm at practice, and it's good to see. We practice like we're a 6-1 team, by the way, but you know, this thing's gonna turn. We just got to be patient, and it's gonna turn around soon. Coach, I want to talk about them sophomore running backs. We had another one suit up last Friday night, Sharif Muhammad, to get some carries, and you know, Ben McLeod and Shaq Robinson. Talk a little bit about how they're progressing as football players.
Well, the biggest thing when you have running backs is that I like about this group now, including Mr. Muhammad, is that they're not selfish. If one guy has a good play, you know, they're cheering their brother on. You know, if they make a mistake, they let him know. And they don't get mad if one gets more carries or one has a big play. And that's the biggest thing is that, you know, just keeping that cohesive unit. Everything is so cohesive on this team. You know, a reporter asked me, I think it was today, you know, Coach, and it's the same question, what is the move, what is the move? And it's the same thing. You know, I guess people think that I'm crazy or I'm lying when I say this, but it's the same thing. It's enthusiasm, there's kids that believe, and I can't explain it other than say that it's God, and the fact that they know, again, like we talked earlier about it, that they know we love them. And, you know, everybody can't see the future. Some people have to see the exact results. But I see the vision. I see it coming together. Again, the true Pirate fan like yourself that come out each and every week, you can see the heart with which these young men play. And it's just gratifying to see. You know, I would like to have more wins because this community, this school deserves it. But we're building something special here. The fact that, like you said, you can come out there any time of the week and see the enthusiasm that these young men display every day at practice.
We'll be right back on the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network.
Your go-to for your business's sign, Sign-O-Rama, located at 5701 Altama, has everything you need. Flyers, business cards, banners, wraps, decals, lettering, displays, and so much more. 912-265-6463 or online at www.signorama.com. Locally owned and operated, Signorama is a proud supporter of Glenn County Athletics, and let's go Pirates! Pristine Water is your destination for pools, spas, and pool supplies. From installation to maintenance, Pristine Water is your best choice in all of Southeast Georgia for your next pool or spa. Give Pristine Water a call at 912-264-9233 for a free estimate, or stop on in at 166 Key Circle Drive, or check Pristine Water out online at pristinewaterandpools.com. And go Pirates!
Welcome back to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kipp Branch on location at the Copper Pig. This segment is brought to you by Pristine Water and by Sign-O-Rama. Coach, we got to go on the road tomorrow night. We'll travel up to Richmond Hill, play the Richmond Hill Wildcats. They're a young team like us, had some success. They beat Statesboro, beat them pretty soundly, but they've been kind of up and down all year long. They didn't look good against Glenn, didn't look good against Ware. Then they turned around and beat Statesboro, and last week they scored a lot of points on South Effingham, but came up short. And from what I read, there was a lot of garbage time points, but they still scored a lot of points in that game. But talk a little bit about Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill is a team that I would say is like a mirror. It's like us looking at the mirror ourselves. They're young, they're athletic, they're long. They have a freshman running back that caught a 80-yard ball. I forget what it was. The receivers are all 6'1", 6'2". You look on the roster, it's sophomore, freshman, junior. The quarterback is the catalyst, though. He's 6'2", rocket arm, athletic. The biggest thing in the difference in those games you named that they lost and the ones they won is he had a tremendous game. If you let him outside that pocket, if you give him time to throw, he will pick you apart. So our defense coach has been working on us maintaining our lane integrity, staying disciplined, still being physical, but we got to get him on the ground. He's their everything. Defensively, they're young again on that side of the ball. They're very aggressive. They play odd man front. They thrive off turnover. You give them turnover, get a short field, they like to get that offense right back on the field. So it's a mirror image of each other. Special team that has some great returners. So it ought to be a great battle. Two teams that are young but still looking for their identity and trying to make their way in this region.
Richmond Hill, offensively, are they primarily a running football team and kind of mix in the pass, or what are they, 50-50, 60-40? What would be your
If I had to say, I would say more 60-40 run the pass. But they like to run the ball with number 12. So look to him to have the ball out in his hands, and we just gotta do a good job of putting our hands on them, maintain our lane integrity, and our receivers. Their receivers do a lot of plays off of broken plays. So when he, gets to scrambling around, we have to stick to those receivers. Our DBs can't try to come up and help. They have to stick to those receivers and get the ball batted down when it goes in the air.
Coach, if you look at the box scores at some of Richmond Hill's games this year, it would appear that they struggle at times stopping the run. And I'm going to assume here, maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, that we're going to go to Richmond Hill tomorrow and we're going to try to establish that Larry Harrell power running game that we talk about with this young offensive line and these three running backs. I'm assuming that that's probably the game plan tomorrow.
That's always the game plan, establish the run. Like I said, we got a couple of more things we've been working on, personnel packages, but like I said, our offensive line is looking at film and they're licking their chops. I'm just going to say that. They are excited about the possibilities of what we can do on the ground, and our running backs are excited as well. So, our biggest thing is always just physical. Let's go up there and get physical. I think that the last couple of weeks we played some teams that were just as physical, not more physical, especially when we talk about Coffee County. And, but, you're looking at the South Effingham film where we get physical with them. Statesboro, we got physical with them. So we want to be physical, but take that physicality to an even higher level and see where it goes. We just been preaching physicality all week long.
This is the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Larry Harrell on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, we got 3 more games left in the season. We're 1-6, but I'm pretty sure that you're breaking up this last third of the season to say, guys, we're going to build on next year now, and we can do a lot of things in the last 3 weeks. Talk a little bit about how you're approaching the team with that mentality.
Well, our thing is just 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
Right now, our whole thing is just get that first victory. I've never experienced a month and a half of straight losing, and I want to win so bad. These kids want to so bad. It's like you're in a desert, and there's an oasis, and you just can't get to it. And we just want to win badly, and then just continue to get better each and every week, and try to build some momentum, like you said, going into the off season. we've already, some of the kids already mentioned some things, how excited they are to get back into the weight room in the off season and do some training because they know what to expect now football wise, and now we got to work on our bodies and our minds, and but it's still a lot to be gained. There's still a lot to do within these last 3 games. But the first thing first, and that's to go down and try to ruin homecoming for Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill scheduled us for homecoming, so that should be a little added incentive for our football team as we load up on the bus tomorrow. Because I just want to say that we're 1-6, and when you're 1-6, you hear all kind of stuff, and you hear this, that, and the other. Everybody seems to be an expert at what we need to do, but the folks that watch the program and see how these kids work and see how these kids function every week, I just appreciate you, appreciate the job that your staff's doing, and anything you want to say to the fan base before we sign off here tonight and get ready to go get that win tomorrow night?
Just that I told somebody the other day, the vision and mission hasn't changed. We still building, and we plan on building a winner. And that me and my family still happy to be here. Glad to be here. Again, even if there are some negatives, people, it's only because they care so much about Brunswick. They want to see a winner, and we understand that. We understand that's why we were brought down here, and we are going to work hard towards that today, tomorrow, and forever, as long as we're allowed to stay. But we're glad to be here, and like we always say, go Pirates.
Go Pirates. I'm going to make one bold prediction before we sign off tonight, Coach. One of our running backs tomorrow night is going to have a coming out party.
I sure hope so.
All right. Thanks for joining us for the Brunswick High Coaches Show with Larry Harold on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Come out to the Copper Pig and join us every Thursday night at 6 p.m. for the Larry Harold Show. I'm Kipp Branch for Coach Larry Harold, signing off. Go Pirates.